Hello, I'm George Hayes, and this tutorial is how to set up CodeBlocks with MinGW-w64, SDL 2.0, compile GLEW 2.0, and get an OpenGL program 3.3 or up to 4.5 up and running. And we'll go ahead and get started. As you can see, I actually have a project here that's running right now as far as with it. And it is compiled with what I'm saying, and we have just a very basic program that takes a total of 48 lines to get all that running in. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you what all the setup as far as on it. We start off with CodeBlocks. Go ahead, download, then go into download binary release and select the latest version that says MinGW setup, whatever it happens to be. Alright. And then you're going to go through the basic install and install it to something on your C drive, preferably. Okay. And don't make any other changes in that as far as trying to keep the directory even the same, because as we go through and set up stuff, it's going to be easier for you to follow along and make sure things work right. After you've done the basic setup as far as on that, then you're going to go to sourceforge.net projects MinGW-w64, and you're going to download this version, not some other version, because there are lots of other versions people have as far as on different sites and so forth, and they don't all work the same. In fact, some of them just don't work for what we're trying to do. Alright, so download this, then you gotta go, hang on just a second. Show you what the settings you need to have as far as doing your install. Hit next. Then here you're going to change the i686 to x86-64 and leave the rest the same. Hit next. Then in this, I'd like you to go through and set up a directory under your C drive called MinGW-w64 like this, and install to that directory. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because it will take time, and I've already got it set up. Alright, so once you got that done, we'll go over to this directory and go in here, select your binary, and take that and set it into your system path. If you're on Windows 10, you can type path in down here. Hit your environmental variables and go through, select path, edit, and then add it in as I've done here. If you're using Windows 8 or Windows 7, you'll need to do it however your system requires. Okay. Now, after you've done that, we're going to go ahead as far as into CodeBlocks itself. You're going to hit settings, compiler, and you'll have at the top, because it's already got a compiler in it, you have GNU GCC compiler. You're going to hit copy, and once it's done, you're going to rename it into something like MinGW-64 so you can recognize what it's supposed to be. Then you're going to go into your tool chain, alright, and set it to C MinGW, that directory you had, MinGW-64, which will be this directory here, like that. Alright, once you've done that, then you're going to go as far as to find all these different things here. They're all in one directory, that binary directory we were looking at earlier. And you're going to need to grab them out of here. And it's your GCC compiler, G++, GCC AR, and then your Windows resource and your makefile. And all those are GCC right here, GCC AR, G++, Windows resource, and your makefile is right there. Okay. So once you get that set up, go ahead and cancel out of this. You're going to actually save as far as hit OK and so on. And then we're going to go as far as on to the next step, and you're going to go to SDL. Alright, And when you get there, you're going to click on the 2.0, SDL 2.0 on the bottom left hand side, and you're going to select the MinGW-tar.gz. Regardless of whatever version it is, this is the one you're going to select, and it'll install the same way. And I'm going to show you that right now. So you're going to save it to a folder on your C drive called SDL. Alright. And then you're going to unzip it, and that's going to leave you a tar file, and you're going to unzip it again, and that's going to give you a directory like this. Now if you open up this directory, you're going to find that there's two more directories that are labeled like these. This one's your 64-bit, this one's your 32-bit. Alright, and go ahead and show you as far as the different projects. They have the projects files as far as the libsdl.org projects. Alright, which this was downloaded from libsdl, so it's still related to the same thing. And images is for like functions as far as for downloading, utilizing PNG files and other images. Your sound and audio is mixer.net for networking, TTF for true type font, rich type font for RTF, and so on. Okay. So that should give you as far as what you need as far as on there, and you select whichever ones you want, and you're gonna put them also in the same directory, the SDL. Like I've got my image ones throughout here, and .net and so on like that. And basically I just keep putting the new ones in, but I could delete out old ones because I'll show you what we're going to do with it next. Once you've got these as far as in their location, alright, you're going to go back as far as into your CodeBlocks, hit your compiler settings again, alright, and then we're going to go to linker settings, and we're going to add in your SDL settings. You should already have to -L MinGW32. You're going to add in -L SDL2 main, -L SDL2, right? And that's your primary ones that you need with just a very base SDL. Now for adding images in, you'll add that in, true type font, you'll add in with the -L SDLT-TTF, and then for sound, the one with mixer, and then net for networking. Alright, and that will set up as far as that part, but then you still got to go as far as into your search directories, and you're going to have to point the compiler to these file folders as far as, the file folders. I'm sorry, my voice is getting a little dry. Alright, and where you're going to find those is the ones I was pointing you to as far as on the other part here. So your base one is SDL 2.05. You're going to select this and go ahead and minimize this real quick so I make this easy to see. Alright, now as you notice, we need SDL2 here as far as on that, and that will be under your includes SDL2. Click up here, Control C, come over here, add, Control V, and hit OK. But I've already got it done. And you're going to do that for your sound, images, net, and so forth like that, all the ones you choose to use. Then when you're done doing that, you're going to come over here, go and add in your library locations. Draw this out a little more so I can see a bit. And that will be this folder right here. Alright, and it's the same thing if you go into your image and so forth. They're all set up the same way with the same basic thing. So for this is the base, the main. So here it's with the 64 down here. Now if I go out and I go up to images, you'll see I have the same type of folder, and it's set up the same way inside. And so very easy, just copy and paste them in, the correct ones, as you can see on here. Alright, and that will get SDL set up. Next part we need to do is we need to download GLEW and compile it, which is easy, so don't panic. And here we have GLEW. You gotta go and select the 2.0. Alright, and you're going to take this TGZ file and you're going to copy it and you're going to create a C directory called GLEW, or GLEW2.0 in this case. And I use the GLEW directory for my 32-bit and GLEW2.0 for my 64-bit. Alright, so here I copied it in, I unzipped it. I actually have this is where I created one and uploaded it to my file. Don't worry, you can't get this online other than from my website where it's precompiled. Alright, so I'm teaching you how to compile it yourself. Alright, if you want, you can sit there and get it from my website. Now, you can you save that TGZ file in here, you unzip it, you'll get a tar file. You unzip that again and you get GLEW2.0. Alright, and it's going to look like this. It won't have this compile.bat file. Now, this is the reason you're going to need, as far as your binary file, as far as for the MinGW that we told you to set into your system path, because if you don't have it, this won't work for you. Alright, so to get that, you're going to simply go to here, 50.79.245.125 compile.64.bat. Now, this is my site, one of them actually. GRH Media is my normal programming site. Unfortunately, I'm having issues uploading some files on here right now, so I've put this off onto another server which my son is using, and they're available there. So I have the 32-bit version here. I also have that zip file that I created here, so you could download it. It's already pre-compiled and everything. That's an option. It's a good idea for you to learn as far as on this, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into that right now. Alright, the original file that you'll find, as far as even on my website or on the internet, is like this one over here. It will only work through versions 1.13. And the way the person made it is he understood how compilers worked, and he grabbed the flags and all necessary, probably from something like the make file, and he wrote a batch file to do each of the steps that the make file goes through and does down through here. Alright, by putting it all together. Basically, it substitutes the name of the library and stuff in that it needs and adds the thing. Alright, so here's the name, GLEW, see, and it goes, pastes it in and creates the files. Alright, going out with the appropriate flags attached to it. So all he did is he sat there and took this, basically wrote out the instructions, and then dropped it into a bat file so that he could use it. Alright, now the problem is compilers have gotten better. Alright, and one of the ways they've done that is a lot of the functions that are available, as far as, or I should say some of the functions that are available in the standard library, are now actually compiled into C compilers, so they don't have to include the standard library. And that's the case what's going on here. And so there's some additional flags that has to be set in. Alright, and here's my 32-bit, 64-bit, and this is where the flags are that have been added into this to deal with no longer using the standard library. Alright, and it's the 64-bit version of the make file and the 32-bit version of the make file for MinGW. Alright, so that's how I created these two. Alright, so anyway, you can download it from there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to set it to compile.64.bat as far as into your 2.0 directory here, and you're going to open up a command prompt because you want to see the errors afterwards instead of just having it pass through if there happens to be errors. And you're going to go to GLEW2.0, GLEW2.0.02, and autocomplete, and then we'll run it. It only takes a few seconds, well, maybe a minute, but anyway, it's not too long as far as on the amount of time it takes getting it done. It's probably about 3/4 of the way or halfway now, and there, it's finished. That's as simple as this, and it's no errors involved in it. What you're going to do next is you're going to go to the library file here, and you're going to take all these .a's and come into the source. You're going to take the two object files, the O's here, and you're going to go ahead and open up another one. Back to your MinGW directory. Go down into this section and store them in here. Okay. Now, after that, you're going to go and take your includes out of here, alright, which is include GL, and you're going to go back up here to this include GL, and you're going to store them in here. Okay. Now, you will need to take the two DLL files and put them in your projects file, like I have done with this one right here. And you'll also need to put your SDL binaries in here, and you will find them back on SDL DLLs in here. You'll find them in your binary directory in SDL. So for 2.05, like I have here, I will go into x86-64 up in the binary, and there's my DLL file, right? And to get the image one, the mixer one, I would just go back out of here up to image and grab the binary from there that are necessary. And you only bring the ones over that you need. Like, for example, I probably actually need zlib in here right now. Control C. I just haven't added it, but I'm not using the image and all right now or mixer, so in this one I could actually take all three of these out. Alright, so these are the ones that are necessary for this, and they'll be uploaded, the entire thing, the project, into my website. I'll have it up on there. You'll have a link down below as far as in this description of the video where you can find this. Alright, so now that you have that done, let's go ahead and set GLEW up as far as in your compiler. And we're going to go back to linker settings, and you're going to put in -L Opengl 32 minus GLEW32 minus L GLEW32 minus L GLEW32 MX, and that's the two libraries that we just added as far as on there. And you won't need to add them as far as into your directories or anything, because we actually went ahead and put them into the compilers folder. Alright, and because it doesn't change near as often as it does with SDL and stuff. So yeah, otherwise we could point it to, point this over to where the GLEW libraries and all like that are, object files and so forth, but this is simple enough. Alright, now, so you can see this, we're going to go ahead and recompile it. And as you know, we went through settings and all as far as on here, and it's that we know where they're pointing to and how they got into there. We know that this compiler is the one that I set up as far as in there is MinGW-w64. So anyway, here's the setup as far as on it. 48 lines of code. First one is we're going to create an SDL window, and then an SDL Context right here. Alright, the bool for running is just to tell that is a flag to show when the program is running. An event handler. Alright, then we initialize SDL right here, and tell it to initialize everything. You could, as this thing's starting to show, have it do it for the audio, for the timers, for the video, and so on. You can initialize everything individually if you want. Alright, then here we're going to set up as far as our attributes as far as that we want for Opengl. This is major version, minor version. What they mean by that, if you have using Opengl 3.3, we'd have it like right now. If you want to use Opengl 4.5, for example, you do that, recompile, and run. And then it's up to you to really check whether or not the person's hardware can handle it, or if you consider the person to handle it. Number of buffers, we have 1. Alright, GL depth size, which is the number of pixels deep, like 24. Alright, in this case, alright, here we create the window. Alright, if it comes out null, it's gonna go give us an error. So the name of the window, start position as far as the top left corner is the XY, 100, 100. The width, the height. It's an OpenGL window, it's visible, and it's resizable. I have another line up above it where if I like this, it is where it's a full screen window. So we could recompile, go to this, and let's see, why did it not pop up? No, it is up. It's a clear window. I'm sorry. And I didn't put a way to Control C out of it. Okay. Sorry about that. Not a good idea to use that until we put in something to actually catch the escape key. Alright. So it has full screen window capability as far as if you do it like that, but then you want to put in something to grab the escape key because you can't close the window like the same way you do when you do this way. See here, we can actually just close the window, and so it allows it to exit the program. Alright, but you can't do that as far as with it. So what I ended up having to do is hitting Alt Tab and then closing the window down below. Alright, now here we create your Opengl context from the window, or for this particular window I should say. Alright, your SDL2 set interval as far as for swapping your buffers. Alright, your experimental is set to true. This allows you to use any of the Opengl experimental functions and so forth. We check if we initialize Opengl here and have error checking. Alright, then this is where we have basically our program running as far as in its loop. And we poll for events, and then we do an event timer, event check down here, and pass back if there's an event. And right now the only event we're having is the SDL quit. Alright, and here we do our cleanup. We clean up the main context as far as for the Opengl first, and then you clean up the window. Alright, and then SDL quit, and then the program. That's as simple as it is. Alright, and let me go ahead and close this project out a second, and we'll open up a secondary one here. And this is a little more complex as far as how this goes, and this one actually props up a window with the triangle in it. And this is up on my website. I'm not going to go through the full thing on it if you want to see. Basically, yeah, I'm not going to step through every line on it, but I'll give you a general view. There's 3 files here as far as for handling just the triangle, the Opengl object. Alright, it has a class created for it. It passes in as a display function as far as cleanup going on down here. This here is initialization of it. This is where we load the shaders in. Alright, and let's see. Then as far as here, we have an SDL object for the game, essentially. Alright, game object if you want to look at it that way. And it does other Windows things as far as in C++ type mode. On initialization is where we do the initialization, which is, you'll recognize most of these functions from what we just went through. And then we have separate function for handling all the event handling. This is where you do your primary updates and stuff. As far as that, you go through each time on a loop, handle all your rendering in this one, clean up on this one. This is just a file system for loading text files, and a simple keyboard handler. Alright, and that's also available on my site. And as you can see, it's a bit more complex. That's the reason I created that small one, so we'd actually have time to go through it and you could get a basic window up and running and test out and make sure your thing's working. And it's only 48 lines of code versus several hundred. Alright, and anyway, I hope you appreciate the video and find it useful, and thank you for watching. And please like, subscribe if you think it deserves it.